Hey there, Ruthhaven Grounds family. Today I'm sharing something that's been an absolute game changer in my vegetable garden, and I cannot wait to tell you about it. If you've been following along with our gardening adventures, you know I'm always testing out different methods to help our plants thrive. Well, this particular fertilizer trick has literally doubled my harvests of tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers, and the best part? It starts with just 1 tablespoon of an ingredient you probably already have in your kitchen. I remember the first time I tried this method. My tomato plants were looking a bit lackluster, my cucumber vines weren't producing like they should, and my pepper plants seemed stuck in a perpetual state of meh. I was frustrated because I'd been doing everything by the book, or so I thought. That's when I discovered this simple yet powerful feeding strategy, and honestly, it felt like I'd unlocked a secret level in the gardening game. The hero of our story today is Epsom salt, that humble white crystal that's been sitting in your bathroom cabinet. Now, before you think I've lost my mind mixing up bath products with vegetable gardening, let me explain the science behind this gardening miracle. Epsom salt is actually magnesium sulfate, and these two minerals are absolutely essential for plant health, especially for heavy feeders like tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers. Magnesium is the central atom in chlorophyll molecules, which means it's directly responsible for photosynthesis. Without adequate magnesium, your plants simply cannot produce the energy they need to grow, flower, and fruit abundantly. Sulfur, on the other hand, is crucial for protein synthesis and helps plants absorb nitrogen more efficiently. Together, these minerals create the perfect storm of nutrients that can transform your vegetable garden from average to absolutely spectacular. Here at Ruthhaven Grounds, we've talked before about how tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers are what I call hungry plants. They're vigorous growers that pull a tremendous amount of nutrients from the soil throughout their growing season. While most gardeners focus on the big three nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, it's actually the secondary nutrients and micronutrients that often make the difference between a good harvest and an incredible one. Magnesium deficiency shows up as yellowing between the leaf veins, starting with older leaves first. You might also notice that your plants aren't flowering as abundantly as they should, or that the fruits that do develop are smaller and less flavorful than you'd expect. Sulfur deficiency looks similar, but typically affects younger leaves first. By the time these symptoms appear, your plants have already been struggling for weeks, which means you've lost valuable growing time and potential yield. Now let me walk you through exactly how I use this in my garden, because timing and application matter just as much as the ingredient itself. For established tomato, cucumber, and pepper plants, I dissolve 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt in 1 gallon of water. I make sure it's completely dissolved before applying it, which usually takes just a minute or two of stirring. So, I apply this solution directly to the soil around the base of each plant, making sure, to water the root zone thoroughly. I typically use about 2 cups of this solution per plant, depending on the plant's size. For larger, more established plants, I'll use up to a quart. The key is to apply it slowly, so the solution has time to soak into the soil rather than running off. I follow this feeding schedule every 2 weeks throughout the growing season, starting when my transplants have been in the ground for about 2 weeks and continuing right up until about 3 weeks before my expected first frost. This consistent feeding keeps magnesium and sulfur levels optimal throughout the critical flowering and fruiting stages. After I started using this method religiously, the changes in my garden were nothing short of remarkable. Within about 10 days of the first application, I noticed my tomato plants developing deeper green foliage. The leaves looked healthier and more vigorous, standing up proudly rather than drooping slightly like they had been. By the 3-week mark, my cucumber vines were producing more female flowers, which are the ones that actually develop into cucumbers. My pepper plants, which had been flowering sporadically, suddenly burst into bloom. The flowers were also more robust, and honestly, less likely to drop before setting fruit, which had been a persistent problem in previous seasons. But here's where things got really exciting. Around week 5, my tomato plants were absolutely loaded with fruit in various stages of development. I counted more than 30 tomatoes on plants that typically produced maybe 15 to 20 fruits total in previous years. My cucumber plants were putting out 2 to 3 cucumbers per week instead of the usual one. And my pepper plants? They went from producing maybe 8 to 10 peppers per season to giving me 20 or more. One question I get asked constantly is whether this Epsom salt feeding replaces regular fertilizer. The short answer is no, and this is really important to understand. Epsom salt provides magnesium and sulfur, but your plants still need nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and all the other essential nutrients. What I've found works best is using my regular balanced vegetable fertilizer according to package directions, and then supplementing with the Epsom salt solution every 2 weeks. So, think of it this way. Your regular fertilizer is like the main meal, providing the calories and major nutrients your plants need. The Epsom salt is like a vitamin supplement, filling in crucial gaps that might otherwise limit your plant's performance. Together, they create a comprehensive feeding program that addresses all your plant's nutritional needs. Over my years of using this method here at Ruth Haven Grounds, I've learned a few additional tricks that can help you get even better results. First, always apply your Epsom salt solution to moist soil. If your soil is bone dry, just water it lightly first, wait about 30 minutes, and then apply your solution. This prevents the concentrated minerals from potentially burning delicate root hairs. Second, don't skip the every 2-week schedule. Consistency really matters with this feeding program because magnesium is what we call a mobile nutrient. That means if your plants aren't getting enough, they'll rob it from older leaves to supply newer growth. Regular applications keep all parts of your plants properly supplied. Third, keep notes on your results. I maintain a simple garden journal where I record when I feed, what I observe, and ultimately what I harvest. This has helped me fine-tune my approach over time and also provides concrete evidence of just how effective this method really is. The beautiful thing about gardening is that we're all learning together, experimenting, and sharing what works. This simple Epsom salt feeding strategy has transformed my harvests, and I've heard from so many of you that it's done the same for your gardens. I love getting your messages, photos, and success stories. If you found this information helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the Ruth Haven Grounds channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest gardening tips and tricks. Share this article with your fellow gardening friends who might benefit from doubling their harvests too. And please, drop a comment below, letting me know how this method works in your garden. Your experiences help everyone in our community learn and grow better gardens together. Here's to bigger harvests, healthier plants, and the joy of growing your own incredible vegetables. Happy gardening, friends!